Behind every great result, there's a story of innovation and collaboration.
There's a lot more collaboration between our customer and us, and it's because we can share data.
Our Proficy software customers aren't just clients, they're partners in progress. For more than 20 years, we've worked with you to accelerate the digital revolution and drive real results within your industrial operations.
The software takes production data and used to make sure that machines, operators, and managers are able to make the right decisions at the right time.
Proficy isn't just a tool, it's the engine driving your success forward, and the solution enabling your enterprise to decrease costs, increase profits, reduce waste, improve efficiency, and much more.
The data's in the Proficy system.
But it's not just about the numbers, it's about the people. Together, we empower teams, accelerate innovation, and drive toward a future that's brighter, more sustainable, and more profitable than ever before. We invite you to experience the power of smart and sustainable operations with Proficy from GE Vernova.
Perfect start. Right. Welcome everyone today. Thanks for joining. I'm Ben Latham, the Director of the Solution Provider Program in the EMEA region. And please excuse my voice in case it cracks today. The intent of today's session, as with the rest of them, is it's an introduction, right, for new members, or a refresher for more established members of the Proficy Solution Provider Program. Provide an update on Proficy for 2026 today as well. We'll also be able to show you all the training that you can take advantage of. So by the end of this, you should have an understanding of some of the benefits, how to keep informed, how we're progressing with 2026 releases so that you're ahead of the curve, as well as seeing all the training opportunities that are available to our partners. We're really investing in our partnerships, so the more that you put in, the more that you can get out. Today's event is part of our systems integrator educational series of events. We're running many this year, which you can register for now. They're all intended to raise awareness and knowledge of new products, the enhancements, new technology trends. The whole goal here is to help our system integrator community improve productivity, solve new customer challenges, and uncover new revenue opportunities. Now, today, I'll be joined by a few key people. Paul is my counterpart. He isn't actually on this call right now, but he's my counterpart in the Americas region, as well as myself in the EMEA region. We've got Mike Nagy, who heads up our training and education department, and Prasad Pai, who's our senior director for product management for our automation software. So we encourage everyone, to reach out in the Americas to Paul Adams or myself in EMEA. I can also support with anyone in Asia Pacific region and get you the right connections and the information that you need. And all our contact details will be in the Contact Us section, which I'll come on to in a moment. Just the usual safe harbor. During the session, we might discuss future roadmap enhancements that might not be committed right now. And if you have any questions about those, then you can reach out to us and ask us for more information. Before we get into things, just a couple of quick housekeeping items to go over. On your screen, there should be buttons similar to what you see here on the slide. The orange chat bubble button, that's where you can submit questions throughout the session, right? And we really want to get your questions. We'll be sure to try and answer them at the end or follow up afterwards. The purple email icon, that's where you can contact myself or the team for more information about the program. The blue paperclip icon is where you can access several different additional resources. So information like how to access training, how to find product information, as well as ways to hear updates from us as well. The question mark button, that's where you get technical assistance. A little tip we always say, try refreshing your browser in case you have any issues. That does tend to fix most things. And we have the feedback survey through the pink clipboard icon. Again, we'd love to hear your feedback on this session, on anything you're experiencing with the program or with your customers. It all helps us grow. So the agenda today, we're going to cover these topics, and we'll have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. So I'll be starting off, then we'll go to Prasad looking at Proficy 2026 and beyond, and then Mike with the training updates. And just a reminder to everyone, this session will be recorded today. The details and information will be sent out in a follow-up email, so please be on the lookout for that. There'll be lots of links, etc., that you can reference back to the materials as needed. But first, I'll just move on to a major update that's about to happen. So most of you will know, or you'll have heard, hopefully, that we're about to become a totally independent software company under TPG. Now, some information about this started late in 2024. Our leadership was approached about the idea, and throughout 2025, you heard in Q4 last year, the process was completed, and it should happen very soon. But there was many potential buyers actually involved in this, and we knew quite a lot of them, but the interest externally was really significant in the business. So from our perspective, there's a real excitement to become a dedicated software company. We don't want to take anything away from GE and GE Vernova. It's been really, really amazing, but their business, they wake up every day with a mission to electrify the world, which is slightly different to our mission. So it'll be great to be a standalone software company, because there's a huge opportunity ahead of us tied to the pillars that we see here. And just to take a few examples, market leading software, an opportunity to take it to the next level with investment. We've got a Madam platform already, and it's mission critical to our customers. It's the only integrated suite that is keeping plants running. We've got a large global install base that includes blue chip companies. We've developed go-to-market excellence over many years, right? We have real industry and vertical strengths across growing markets as well, which all act as a tailwind. And we've got the expertise in our teams and our partners that we can really lean into to go on the offensive in 2026 and beyond. So I hope that sets people's mind at ease about the immediate future, and there will be more on this very, very soon. That I really count on everyone as well to help us drive this new business forward and promote it externally as well. But for now, let's talk about how people can benefit from this new company. The mission that we set a few years ago when we really kick-started this program remains the same. Ultimately, we're here for mutual growth, right? And how we get there is all about us doing what we're doing now. We're sharing, we're engaging, we're all learning together, we're all collaborating and supporting each other as well. And so I'll just show you now what we have in place today to help that. There's a 3-tier program. It's a global program framework. But let's focus on the expertise and how we differentiate our partners first. So on the right side of this slide, as you'll see, we do have 2 technology segments, industrial automation and MES. And they have different learning paths that we expect people to take. And from now, this is certainly something that we expect now, right? We expect our members to be certified in the solutions that they offer. And we're giving you the tools and the opportunities to do that as part of your membership. So it's really, really encouraged. Then we've got the different levels. So we have a member level, and we have a gold level and the platinum level. And these are all driven by engagement and relationship. The experience that's shown on previous projects or current projects that we're working on together even, as well as training and certifications that results in a sales impact. And that's how we work with those different tiers of memberships. And what's available to members as they grow and develop with Proficy software. So everyone has access to all the development tools, right? So all the licenses, the online resources for products, the architecture, best practices. You've got access to the technical support. So if you're dealing with your sponsor or another one of our partners, for example, and they can't find you the answer, you're more than happy for you to reach out directly to our support team, and we encourage you to do that because it does actually help us get better as well. Everyone has the ability to provide feedback and ideas. We have the AHA Ideas portal. It's actually on the customer center. It's the share an idea section, and it really works. The recent partner kickoff in Europe, we had an example of a partner putting the ideas in there last year, and they are going to become a reality in some products in 2026. Training that's available to everyone. Mike will cover this. I don't want to steal too much thunder, but there's loads of new content there, and it's been updated. So if you've not been there for a while, I encourage you to go and check. Right from things like, what's new courses. That's like a 30-minute course that shows you about that product and where it's come from in 2020 to 2026, for example. So a really great way of understanding all the developments that have happened. Self-directed courses, again, something Mike will talk about. We're getting loads and loads of great feedback about that. It's as close to instructor-led as you're going to get, done at your own pace as e-learning. The highlighted part people might have seen here, I'll just draw your attention to. This is where we get flexible, and this is how we tend to work with the gold and platinum partners and some people that are aiming for those levels. I encourage you to reach your sponsor or to us directly to talk about these things. It can be things just as simple as coming and doing updates with you. But you're going to see some updates today, but we can do them individually, for example. It could be escalations, maybe you're having problems with a project. Equally, we want to hear about new projects. We want to help you review them, make sure that the solution's right and that you've got the right commercial options available to you. But we can also look at account planning, and that's something where we can really support you with value messaging to help you be more successful. That's like I talked about before, the go-to-market excellence. We have, for the industries where we are prevalent, we have created slide decks and examples where we can build credibility quickly with customers, and we can show them the value that can be gained by using our software. And it really gets us into that higher level, and it can speed up projects as well. So we look forward to working on these areas together. And we've got examples as well as working with our partners and our commercial teams to be successful together. I just thought next, though, I'll just show you a couple of stats as well while we're talking about this. I always want to show all our peers that we've got a growing number that are leaning into the program now and taking the benefits that are available to them. So we've got an increased number of partners now that have a partner finder profile. This is a window from us, the vendor, to the outside world where you can showcase what you do with Proficy. A key benefit that Mike's going to highlight later too is training. So just to mention that everyone gets an instructor-led training seat each year for free, and as well as discounts if you want more seats. Please just reach out to ask for more details on that. But all the e-learning courses are available to everyone, as I mentioned before, unlimited. And the ramp up in activity since 2023 has been amazing, right? And that's from a core group of solution providers that are really doing that. As I mentioned before about certifications, and the training is driving these certifications. So for each product, there's a 50-minute builder badge exam where you can test your knowledge, right, and prove it. And when it's passed, this will go on your partner finder profile, but the individual also gains a certificate and a logo that they can show, and you can show obviously to your customers. Because it's more than just a certification of the product, more than something you just keep locked away on your CV. Because there was a recent Gartner report that talks about how customers select partners and technology. So it's based on references, it's based on industry knowledge, of course, so these things we can help you with, get credibility, but it's also based on vendor certification in the products. So it's really critical to be able to show this to your clients, and it's why we're offering it as a key benefit to our partners. And next, I'll just show you a bit more about how you can keep updated on what's happening and some stuff that's coming up in this year. This isn't everything, right? But all the things here we have available to keep you in the loop. And if you're not seeing these, then check out the more info section on this webinar, and there's lots of links in there to sign up, and we'll send them out via email as well. But no particular order. Hopefully you're receiving our newsletter monthly. Real great way for us to keep information going out to everyone and let you know what's going on. The hands-on technical updates, or the hot to you, they're going to be coming again in 2026. So keep your eyes peeled for those in your region. The partner finder, as I mentioned before about certifications, and you can showcase to your customers. Do check your profile if it's there, right? And if there's anything you need updating, then please let us know. And if you don't have a profile, again, there will be a link sent out as to how you can go and create that. And we just really need as much information about you as possible so that we can create those profiles. Really important that it helps clients. So clients do look there as well, but it helps other partners understand who in their region they could potentially have for support. And we have examples where partners collaborate. And it also helps us internally when we're looking for the right partner, and we can share that with our sales teams. There's two things in the middle there that are very similar. There's Coffee with an Expert, which is the EMEA region section, and there's an Ask an Expert session as well. These are monthly sessions, a rendezvous, we call them, with our business consultant team, and typically it's got clients and partners on there as well, showcasing examples of how our technology is driving value. There's other things that are not shown here that you'll get email information about, and you can find the links in the more information section. We have a solution provider digital portal. This has got resources, decks on the products, presentations you can share with customers, data sheets, use cases, past recordings of things. The value decks I mentioned briefly before within the go-to-market excellence, pulled together years of experience into these presentations, and we can help you show your customers the value that they will realize by adopting our software to support your projects. So please do reach out to learn more of those. From marketing as well, we can support too. So there's a link as well where you can request marketing materials. So perhaps you need a white paper, or you want to co-write a white paper, or even better, you have a customer story that we can help you write it. Right? And we can post it on our website, and then you can use it as well too. So we can do the heavy lifting on that as well. The biggest thing that's happening this year, this won't be the last time you hear about this, I'm sure, our Proficy user conference. So this year it's global. Registration is open now, but it's not just a conference. So for the partners on this call, this is also an opportunity. There's training available across automation, MES, historian, and scheduler. And there's also a hackathon, which we'll show a bit more about later, where you can showcase your skills working together to solve a real-life problem with Proficy software. And you can reach out to Amy Wooten to get involved, and her details will be available to you afterwards. So in fact, this is about the hackathon. Here you go. Amy Wooten's details are there, but we'll share these afterwards as well. And while we're talking about tools that are available to partners, does anyone know about our public demo system? Has anyone used it on the call? I know people can't talk now, but rhetorical question. If you don't know about it, or if you know about it and you've not used it yet even, email the team. The email address is there, and again, these information will be available. We've got many demos that we've created for you to use, so you don't need to build them. But also, you would then be registered with this newsletter where you get new updates when we change demos and how to use it, etc. Just a few examples here, just so you can be aware of what you would see when you get access to that environment. There's a selection here, demos ready for use for automation software, right the way from HMI to data analytics, as well as demos for all our core MES markets. And of course, scheduler, which is really growing and a key area where our solution providers and partners can support with. We've got learning available, and we've got specialists who can help. So if you get access to this and you need to know more, then please reach out. And on that topic, finally from me, as I said, please reach out to get access, but also tell us what you think about, breakfast is the feedback of champions is one of our mottos, and our business consultant shared this a few weeks ago. So you use it and you tell us your thoughts, any improvements that you think are good. As we said, don't hold back, be blunt, tell us how we can improve this demo tool. You'll all get this information afterwards, as I said, or reach out if you don't find it. And with that, I want to hand you over to Prasad, who's going to tell you all about Proficy in 2026 and beyond. Thanks, Prasad.
Hey, thank you, Ben. Hopefully you're able to hear me and see. Thank you, folks, for joining today's SI webinar. I wanted to give you a quick update on our 2026 portfolio release that is coming up shortly here. And as Ben mentioned, we have the user conference in May. Hopefully you all are traveling and you would be able to see the 2026 products live there, especially on the first day where we have some training sessions and the hackathon. So quickly, in summary, a large part of our focus in the 2026 release across our portfolio has been to see how do we get to a unified data layer across the Proficy portfolio. How do we enable a unified namespace from the different solutions of Proficy that can be utilized using an MCP interface for any applications that would integrate into it as a common context. So that's been a big effort of ours, and I'll talk about that initiative in a bit here. There's also we've also kind of experimented with some of the AI technologies, and from there's a few places where we have seen efficiency. So we've used AI internally to improve the speed at which we create capabilities, or the speed at which we are able to develop some of the product features. But we are also adding AI mainly from a standpoint of how does it improve your experience of configuration, how your experience of how do you learn more about our products and things like that. And though you'll start to see some of those tools come out as we go. We continue our focus in 2026, getting products to native cloud, getting to SaaS. And as we go further, you'll start to see more and more of those capabilities, giving you the flexibility to have a SaaS-based deployment, a private cloud-based deployment, or an on-prem deployment here. With that, I'll kind of talk about AI. This is a big thing. All of you folks have experimented with different AI tools. We have been learning as well. We all are learning together as to what specific capabilities of AI can we use, what specific capabilities of AIs will benefit us internally versus how can we bring that improved experience to our users. And a large part of what we are seeing in terms of AI technologies, whether it's the agentic AI technology or the generative AI technology, a large part of the benefit we are seeing that we can truly pass on to users is around the configurability, the acceleration of time to value for you when you start your project, and how do you get there quickly. And that's something that we are focused on, and that's something that even looking at some of the generative AI capabilities, the most useful, I mean, you all must have heard everyone talk about talk to your data, and that's the most common use case. But what is most useful is how do we use it to improve your system performance or reliability, or how do we create an advisor that helps you optimize the overall system to make it more reliable. So a lot of you'll start to see these AI tools come up, not necessarily exactly with the 2026 release. Some may come earlier, some may come follow as we get into the 2026 release. So that's kind of the philosophy that we are kind of using as part of our work here. So I'll talk about Data Hub. And now Data Hub is the initiative I was talking about, which is where we are bringing all of our Proficy portfolio into a common context, into a common model framework that will be served up as a unified namespace that you folks can utilize. Again, this is going to be the first release of Data Hub. Obviously, Data Hub will go far beyond just getting data from Proficy and presenting it as a unified namespace. The plan is that that also becomes the single tool that allows you to do top-down configuration of all of our products, including SCADA, Historian, MES, everything. But the first release is focused on presenting a UNS and presenting the UNS with an MCP interface as well for you to attach any of your, if you have created your own LLMs that you want to use of this MCP interfaces, then you would be able to do that with Data Hub. So that's a key aspect. Again, the focus of Data Hub is how do we get you to forming a model. Now, the first release of Data Hub will actually allow you to mine your existing Proficy configurations you may have. And it could be a flat tag interface that you may have with our SCADA products, or it could be a context-based model that you may have in your MES. You can import it in, start from there, so you don't have to go from a entire whiteboard of starting and creating the model itself. But you can enhance it so that it becomes something that is more generic and caters to all aspects of your operations as it becomes that true unified namespace to go there. And then once it's there, it becomes a common context for what you do and the way you access it. So that's really the goal here that we are trying to achieve with Data Hub here. If you look at kind of a data flow architecture, two primary components of Data Hub here. One is obviously the model, the creation of the model and the representation of the model, and the other is the data fabric, the way the data will get served to applications. And this will be the interface that will sit on top of all of our Proficy products and then make it available for any applications that would want to access that information in a common context format. So that's kind of the a simplified way of how this information will work. We, in fact, in a month, will be releasing an MVP2 of Data Hub. If there is interest from all of you folks, please reach out to me and I'll get you in touch with folks, and you can experiment with the Data Hub product, and you can try it out with your existing projects. And we will welcome any feedback you have to say, hey, it would be nice if the model also had these attributes, or this is where I think we can gain efficiency in terms. Any feedback you may have, most welcome, so that we can incorporate it before we release Data Hub 2020. The first release of Data Hub, as an example. Coming to our automation portfolio, so I'll start, from our level 1, level 2 components in our portfolio. A big focus in automation in 2026 has been around how do we enable scale and how do we allow you to get more out of your SCADA solution. How do we modernize your experience? How do we make it flexible so that it's not just the SCADA capabilities you use, but you go beyond the SCADA capabilities and start to use more of our historian capabilities, more of our analytical capabilities that we have with CSense. And that has been a focus. And you would have seen with our 2024 release, we started bundling some CSense analytical templates with our SCADA products. We have gone further, and this started with a Q4 initiatives, and we'll keep on adding to it with the concept called as SCADA Ultimate. And I'll talk about SCADA Ultimate in a couple of slides here. What I wanted to talk about is what is coming in 2026. So again, primary focus, iFix, simplicity, and OpsHub. The theme for iFix has been around modernization. We focused a lot on improving the performance of iFix. Now we are getting to a stage where we are starting to modernize the product in terms of how the look and feel of the product is, how fast you can stand up an iFix project. So you'll see a refreshed install and configure experience, entirely web-based. We are adding some capabilities so you can bring in advanced HTML5 content into it. There's a Python EDA that we have attached to iFix now. So if you want to interface Python applications and have a native connection with the iFix database to share information back and forth, then you will be able to do that with it as well. So that's something that will be the focus of the iFix release. Simplicity, on the other hand, is strengthening its core value proposition as the enterprise SCADA, right? So Simplicity is investing in this concept called as zero downtime updates. So what Simplicity will release is what we call as an active update feature, which will allow Simplicity applications to be updated, to be upgraded without having to take the entire SCADA system down. And this has been a primary ask from a lot of our larger customers, that the downtime is too extensive. It is too long to take the whole system down and go through upgrades. And so customers lag in terms of adopting some of the newer capabilities, some of the newer features of the product. And Simplicity is the first one to step into that, to say, okay, we will make it easier for you to do these upgrades and updates. And that's the primary feature that we are getting as part of Simplicity 2026. OpSub will introduce the Python scripting as part of the OpSub environment. So you would be able to do server-side scripting, event-based scripting. You will be able to do scripting in the client. So it will be attached to your widgets. It will be attached to anything that happens on the screen. So you will have scripting capability now in OpSub. And with integration into Data Hub, we are also adding the aspect of dynamic substitution. So you now will be able to use the model into your graphics. You will be able to actually create a graphic attached to a model, so you can use it over and over again as the model context changes. So that becomes a key feature that we are releasing as part of OpSub 2026 here. I talked about SCADA Ultimate, and we started this initiative, I would say, somewhere around Q4 of 2025. What this concept allows you to do is, with SCADA Ultimate, you can now focus on just ordering the tags you need for the project, and then it gives you the complete freedom to decide how you want to use the tags. How many of those tags will get used for SCADA? How many of those tags will get used for an actual historian? And how many of those tags you may use for a CSense analytical project? So it gives you complete freedom. You can start a project with a certain set of tags, and you can mix and match if you think you're going to consume more tags while you're implementing a project, whether you're starting a project and eventually once it reaches a steady state, you realize that some of these tags are not needed at all. You can take those tags back and use those tags to do some analytical projects for your customers. So that's the flexibility that SCADA Ultimate provides you. And what we are doing as part of SCADA Ultimate as well, and before I get into Historian, in Q2, SCADA Ultimate will get enhanced by adding alarm notification and reporting capabilities in it as well. So Proficy SCADA Ultimate will have alarm notification capabilities, which again, you can assign certain tags, or it will package Dream reports with SCADA Ultimate as well. So some of those tags can be assigned to doing some advanced reporting as part of it. So it is a complete bundle now that lets you do traditional SCADA, it lets you do historical configuration with Historian, and you have the flexibility to have an on-site historian or a central historian with it. No one is going to ask you how you use those tags. And analytics or machine learning with CSense, and then you have the ability to do notification and reporting with SCADA Ultimate as well. So it's a complete package now that gives customers and you folks complete flexibility on how you envision a project and what do you want to do, and how can you keep expanding in terms of being engaged with a customer in doing projects from an analytics standpoint, from a reporting standpoint, and just allow you to be engaged with customers here. Moving on to Historian, a large part of the focus of Historian has been to really enable hyperscale. And we introduced Cloud Historian a couple of years back. We are adding hyperscale to Cloud Historian, and we will also be releasing a SaaS-based Historian. So in case customers don't, when we went to customers, Cloud Historian, there were customers who were a lot more comfortable in having a private cloud of their own, but there were customers who said, we really don't have resources to have our own cloud. It would be nice if you have a SaaS Historian. So now you have that option. You obviously have the option of an on-prem Historian, centralized or on-site. You have the option of a private cloud in case the customer is more comfortable running it in a private cloud environment based on their relationship with cloud providers, or GE can host the Historian for you as part of a SaaS Historian as well. So that you have multiple capabilities. And when I say scale, it is truly scale, right? We are really talking about high volume data at high speeds with enhanced compression storage that you get. And this is something that we are now getting to a level where no other Historian does it. No other industrial Historian does it. You obviously have databases that'll do it in the cloud and all of that. But when you talk about industrial Historian looking at time series data at a cheaper cost, no one can touch Historian at that scale now as we go there. And this is just talking about the SaaS Historian, the benefits that a customer will get out of it. All of the responsibility of managing the tenant comes to GE. The cost to the customer is really the amount of data and the speed at which they're going to store that data, whether it's data, alarms, all of that goes into as part of the SaaS Historian offer. Kind of moving forward and along the lines of the SCADA Ultimate theme, right? So we talked about SCADA and the enhancements we are doing. We talked about Historian and the options you have now with Historian, and then coming to CSense now. And the fact that CSense is getting deeply integrated into our portfolio. It is getting embedded even with MES, even with Historian. There are certain templates that come out of the box. SCADA obviously has templates around alarm notification or alarm correlation rather, or sensor health. And we are just increasing the integration into our portfolio of CSense. And as we look at the CSense 2026 release, we are actually looking at how do we integrate into Data Hub. That way, instead of point integrations into products itself, how do we integrate into the UNS? So we actually start doing analytics based on a wider set of operational data than just SCADA data or Historian data or MES data. And that's been our focus as we get here. We are getting CSense to be cloud native. So you can run the analytics with your cloud Historian or your SaaS Historian versus running it on-prem. Again, you obviously have the option of running CSense on the prem, but you now have the option of running it as a native cloud offering as well as we go there. So looking at the timeline, the CSense on-prem version will not go through any change. We will, Ben talked about us moving into having a new company name, so we'll go through the branding process for that. But the key 2026 release for CSense is to be cloud native, so that we can run it in a SaaS environment, we can run it in a cloud environment. Obviously, it can run as a container on-prem as well for on-prem releases. But that's really the key focus as we go there with CSense. Now, getting to MES, and a lot of you would be familiar with our concept of smart factory, right? So from a smart factory standpoint, it is a comprehensive MES solution. And in a bit, I'll talk about the different components that smart factory delivers. But it is really looking at all of the needs that a customer has when it comes to thinking about an MES solution. What are the different components it requires to drive an ROI through an MES solution? And it's all packaged together in a very effective way in which we have decided the cost of this, right? So it's either based on number of machines that you're going to run this MES on. It's either based on number of units you would want to bring in. So it's kind of it scales the way you want to scale your MES solution as you go. The option of Smart Factory is available as a SaaS option, or it's available as an on-prem option as well as you go. And as we think about smart factory, three main components. You obviously have the core MES optimization capabilities, quality, downtime, uh, looking at analysis of your operations, kind of orchestrating work orders and orchestrating the relationship between orders and equipment and materials and labor there. So you have the traditional MES capabilities, but it now also delivers historian and visualization with it. And some of the visualization, if a customer wanted to use out-of-the-box visualization, there are out-of-the-box templates designed for a traditional MES use with Smart Factory. So you could actually get started pretty quickly with it if you're fine with it. Obviously, a lot of customers do their own customization based on how they want to, what they want from the MES solution. So it kind of expands further as well as you can go. Looking at the 2026 releases, we are adding more route capabilities that now actually makes our MES solution more suitable for whether you want to use the exact same MES solution on the process side or on the discrete side, and it becomes one solution that you can use at both angles. Obviously, it has smart factories available as SaaS. We started introducing GraphQL capabilities that aligns itself well for AI-based integration into your MES solutions, and we are further expanding those capabilities as we go with Planned Applications 2026, and just improving scalability, looking at multi-tenancy or multi-site execution of MES that really makes the whole MES deployment very cost-effective for customers as they look at multi-site from a single server itself. So those are some of the scale capabilities that we are adding as part of Planned Applications here. What we are also doing in 2026 is there is a rapid start offer, which I think all of you can really take advantage of. And the reason we came up with this offer is to get customers started. And this is a SaaS-only offer. So for customers who want to get quick ROI out of an MES, and they really don't want to put in all of the cost of getting a SaaS tenant fired up, upfront, this is something where in this offer, we put a stake in the ground of saying, okay, we'll share the cost of, setting this up for you for 6 months. We'll get you to a certain level of ROI, and then we continue as a normal SaaS offering as we go. And this is a program that you all can take advantage of. And again, this is mainly as you engage with your customer, you will obviously work with the customer sponsor here, make sure that the customer sponsor is getting the first level of ROI as quickly as they can, and then you kind of scale it as you go for multiple machines, multiple sites, and just scale it on. What this really does is, if you look at the traditional TCO of a SaaS deployment, it's a very steep SaaS cost for any SaaS deployment that you see for a customer. This actually makes it easier for customers to adopt it and then start to see ROI and do that comparison as they go into the scale mode going further. So that's really the goal of this rapid start. So hopefully you all would be able to take advantage of it. Again, this is SaaS, so there is no effort from you or the customer to set this up. This is all set up already in a GE hosted cloud environment. We will set up the tenant, and then for you, it is really working with the customer to get the project started and get to the first ROI before they go ahead with it. So this is a program you all can take advantage of. For any more information on this, feel free to reach out to Ben or me, and we'll get some of the MES folks in touch with you around this. My last thing I want to talk about is on Proficy Scheduler, and some of you might have already played around with this product. Some of you may not have, but this is an acquisition we made, I would say about 15 months back. we already used to have this as an option as Robex or Proficy Scheduler, but this is now a part of our own company. And what Scheduler does is it is a planning and scheduling tool right down at the operations. And what I'll just build this slide up. What this really focuses on is real-time scheduling as it sees changes in your operations environment. A lot of the scheduling that happens today is through Excel files, or it is very offline scheduling that happens based on data at a certain point in time. With Proficy Scheduler, this is more dynamic scheduling as it gets integrated into your MES itself. So learning what is happening, learning about downtime and adjusting schedules, and how does it, how does that change in schedule either benefit you, or what is the exact impact on the schedule as you go. And it really keeps tabs on how to make sure that you're hitting on-time delivery for a customer. And that's really very user-friendly. You can, based on the scheduling charts, you can adjust. It gives you recommendations in terms of how to adjust. You can manually override it as well, but it's a very user-friendly tool to use. This is something very classical in terms of getting SIs to be engaged with the customer with a scheduling project. This is something that you can build your skills around. This is something that you can be a trusted advisor to your plant managers in terms of how do you help them drive ROI through this. And then Scheduler in 2026, the focus was to get this scheduler to be SaaS-based, right? So, a tool like this makes sense that it runs in the cloud rather than having an on-prem deployment. So there is really no effort for you to set this up. It's really, getting a login and getting started with your operational data so that it can start to pop up schedules for you as it sees equipment and material and the state of your operations as you go. So that's been a major focus with Scheduler. I'm sure, Mike, who's going to talk about training, he will talk about the different training options that you have even on Scheduler as well. So please feel free to ensure that you take advantage of those trainings. So with that, I'll hand it over to Mike.
Hello, everyone. Hopefully everybody can hear me here. A big note, if you haven't been around for the last 6 weeks or so, our site has changed its domain name. We have moved to GE Vernova branding for it. So that is listed here on this slide here. There's also some links. There's a lot of information coming up in these slides. I'm going to try to move quickly. Don't worry about the details here. The PowerPoint will be sent out along with the video after the meeting. So I'm really just going to do it so that you guys can have a chance to snapshot, but also to maybe put some asterisks on some things and maybe ask some questions later. But before we get there, I'd like to start with a poll, if possible. I'd like to just find out from everybody out there, do you have an account at the Proficy Learning Platform, that Edge platform where we're host of all our training? Simple yes or no. I'll give you 15 seconds to answer that, and we'll move to the next poll question. All right, let's go see what the answer is. I love that answer. That's a great answer. So for the 11% out there, that's great. Here's an introduction to education services, and maybe I'll convince you to go grab an account. They are self-serve, enrollable or registerable at our site, and they are free accounts that are part of your program, so you should definitely take advantage. Next question. In the past 3 months, have you taken a course at the Proficy Learning Platform? I'll give you 15 seconds to respond. All right, and that's not bad, actually. That's better than I expected. We do have a very busy audience. The solution providers carry a lot of the self-paced traffic at our platform. So even 25% of you are contributing greatly to the consumption that's happening there. But I do encourage everybody else to check back in, especially this year. As we proceed, there's going to be a lot of revision, but also a lot of net new topics, and we did add a lot. That's what the slides coming up will cover, actually, is how much we've added. I will go to the final question. Did you know that all self-paced training and accreditation exams are available at no charge to solution providers in good standing? So if you go to our site, did you know that you'll have complete and free access for as many people in your organization as you'd like to all that training? You do now. All right. There we go. So the one thing that's a bit of a, I guess I would say a confusion point maybe, is that I'm talking specifically about self-paced training, and that's all training that you can start and stop at your own pace anytime you like. We do have event-based training that's led by instructors. That is our premium service, and that happens obviously at fixed times throughout the calendar. All solution provider companies have access to complimentary seats in training throughout the year, depending on your tier. You will have a certain number of seats to allocate to your people, and you can work with our team to have fee waivers on those courses. For any surplus requirements beyond that, you can receive a 25% discount on all training seats. That's actually the equivalent of what we give to GE Vernova employees as well. So it's a pretty high discount for that service. Next. I wanted to let everybody know here that I know, solution providers have been working with them for about 30 years, and I know that time and money are forefront of how you allocate your time and your investments. We have 93 courses that take less than 25 minutes to run through, and that's targeted at your audience, basically. If you need to catch up on something, or if you need to pinpoint a specific piece of functionality or introduce yourself to a new product that's adjacent to the ones that you normally work with, there's 93 titles that you can look at that have a very brief touch and a brief consumption of your time. And by product, you can see here that we've got pretty good spread on these courses. Scheduler is the latest edition, and we've got that highlighted on the right-hand side there. Encourage you to visit the site and take a look. All right, real quick. Throughout the year, we added a lot of training, and this is just a list of the titles that happened in the first quarter, all right? We did touch Simplicity, the common licensing model that we have, and CSense, and we did introduce new series with new courses as well. Some of these are different modalities, all right? We do have classes where you install the software. You literally install the demo software as the first step, and then you work through working with the product and becoming strong. Some of you might be experienced Simplicity users. You might not need to do that, but maybe you haven't touched CSense. Well, we have it for CSense as well. And that was released in the first quarter. We were able to add that kind of training for both of those. In between there, we threw in some some self-paced training on licensing. It's actually fairly complicated now because of all the different models and all the different modalities and all the different delivery environments. So it's worth taking a look if you haven't had a chance to read up on it. Q2, focus with Historian, Scheduler, and Operations Hub. Okay, we added training for all three of those products on the latest version. Again, a mix of modalities. Some of it was straight e-learning, no hands-on. Some of it was self-paced hands-on as well. Q3, move to Proficy Cloud, Proficy Tracker, and Common Components. Common Components training is all the secure communications layers that are required with certificates and things like that. And we now have a 7-part series on that. You'll see in the next quarter, we actually supplemented that. But again, this is mostly the e-learning modality, all self-paced, something you can use to catch yourself up on this or explore new areas. The Proficy Cloud area is definitely introducing you to what to think about when we're going to the cloud. We're going to SaaS with the same solutions that we've been delivering for the last 20 years on-prem. So the last 4 months, we added more for Operations Hub and the Common Components. We extended both of those curriculum tracks. Operations Hub is now got a self-directed. You install the product and you go to work with the Historian or an OPC server of some sort to visualize data. You can use iFix if you wanted to, but the idea is that you step through different modules, different courses to be able to do that. We did fill out that Common Components learning track with more secure communications courses, and you can see there the topics that are applied. And those are all brand new in the last 4 months. Coming soon, more for Proficy Scheduler, more for iFix and Proficy Operations Hub, and then we're going to have an executive series that we can use. You can obviously use these courses for yourself, but you could also direct customers to it to get an executive summary view of some of these solutions as part of your expansion efforts or as part of your selling efforts. I did want to make sure that we covered the exams that are available as part of the accreditation process, and this is what feeds into the partner profiles that you have at with our team. But also some of these things are what determine your tier level inside the solution provider program. So we do have it broken up by different concentrations. There's an automation concentration, MES concentration, and CSense, which spans both, sort of like Operations Hub and Historian would. But these are 50-minute exams, open internet, open book, open whatever you want. The idea is that you have to get through the 50 multiple choice questions at an 80% pass level in that 50 minutes. So those are available and have been for a while, and those are going to be undergoing revision with newer questions later this year. So whether you do it now or whether you do it later, it will be current to the latest products as the products come out. I'll pass it back to the solution provider team for the final slides.
Sure. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Prasad. This was, we've got some questions to go through. We can go over a couple of minutes if we have to, I think, if people can stay on the line. But this was just the page. I think a few people might have actually had an issue with the link to this page, but this is just an open link. You shouldn't need access to Seismic or any kind of user credentials. So if it's not working in here, then we'll send it out on the email. So just keep your eye out for that email afterwards, and you should get the correct link to this page. The single source of the truth, as I said before, lots of content in there that we try to keep updated as much as possible. Obviously, links to information about the solution provider program, but also decks on products, decks with use cases in there, data sheets, all that kind of stuff. And if there's anything you don't see in there that you want, then again, please reach out to us. Just go through. There was a question about is Proficy still part of GE Vernova or TPG? What is the relationship between Simplicity and Proficy? I mean, I can take that one probably. So Proficy is the software suite that we're talking about. It's everything from the automation products that Prasad showed to MES, scheduler, etc. We are being completely carved out and will be under TPG. So we'll no longer be part of GE Vernova. And Simplicity is one of those SCADA products that sit in Proficy. So you'll notice that it's called Proficy Simplicity, Proficy iFix, Proficy Smart Factory for MES, Proficy Scheduler, right? That's the common name. So hopefully that answers that question. There was one here, maybe Prasad, there was a question, what's the relation between Proficy and Simplicity iPower? That's
yeah, so I can take that. So yeah, can you hear me, Ben?
Yeah, I can now.
Yeah, okay. So iPower is actually a verticalized solution developed on top of Simplicity. So what iPower delivers is features and components that are more suitable for a power distribution application, power T&D application. It has capabilities that allows you to do features like sequence of events coming in from a DNP3 protocol, as an example, or a 61850 protocol. It has some graphical tools that are aligned to how you would design a T&D SCADA. So it is, Simplicity iPower is kind of a bundle of these power T&D capabilities on top of Simplicity. So it's a total package.
Okay. Will CSense 2026 Configuration Hub plugin be compatible with iFix Historian 2024 Configuration Hub?
So that is the plan, although Simplicity 2026, CSense 2026 right now will be a cloud-only release, and then it will follow with the same capabilities on the Windows release. But yes, that is what CSense is working towards, which it becomes another configuration tile in Config Hub. So it's one place that you go and do the iFix, Historian, CSense configuration.
Yeah. Okay. Just conscious of time, a couple more probably quicker ones that we can cover here. You did say this, I think, Prasad, but who do we get in touch with regarding the rapid start for Proficy Smart Factory?
If there is interest, you can reach out to me or Ben, and we can direct you to. It'll probably be someone from the MES team that will get in touch with you. But I mean, you can start with us, and then we'll direct you to those folks.
Okay. There's a question about VBA just came in. Do we know when VBA will stop?
So I guess VBA will stop when Microsoft stops it. I know Microsoft stopped supporting VB scripting, but VBA is still supported by Microsoft. It is, I think the thing you need to know about VBA is, at least with iFix Workspace, the whole workspace is built on top of VBA. So I guess when we go to a newer client UI, that is truly when we can say VBA will go away. But other than that, till Workspace remains and customers use Workspace, we will support VBA.
Okay, and then we really are over time. But then, Mike, there was a question about, is there any prerequisites for enrolling in the training sessions? I know
there are no prerequisites for, if you can hear me, hopefully you can hear me.
Yeah.
There are no prerequisites for the training. So what you need is an account at the platform. So register for an account. Once you've done that, if you supply the informations in the registration that we need to identify you as a solution provider, you should have your fees waived on all the courses you like, except for those instructor-led events, in which case we'll have some commercial handling around a fee waiver for a certain number and a discount for the others.
Exactly. Right, with that, sorry if we didn't get to, I think we got to most of the questions there. We're over time, but again, just thanks everyone for joining. Thanks for spending the time with us. This series continues. Go look at training, go look at the information, the single source of truth on seismic. Yeah, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one and hearing from as many of you as possible as well. Thanks a lot. Cheers, Prasad. Cheers, Mike.
Yep, thank you. Thanks, folks.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye.